Hey everyone, I'm Aisha, and welcome to the Justice Pro Network's AI-powered Daily Deep Dive in 5. I'm here with my co-host Aidan, and today we're talking about Cracker Barrel's recent logo change, and why understanding the racist history behind the original imagery makes this story about so much more than corporate branding.
Thanks, Aisha. And this is one of those stories where the real controversy isn't what people think it is. When conservatives got outraged about Cracker Barrel removing their old logo, the one with the barrel and the old man sitting beside it, they were actually defending imagery with deeply racist historical roots. Let me explain what most people don't know about that nostalgic symbol.
Exactly. So here's the history lesson most people missed. The term cracker doesn't refer to the food. It refers to the crack of whips used by overseers on enslaved people in the antebellum South. And the original Cracker Barrel logo, which they used for decades, actually incorporated whip imagery circled around the text. That old man sitting by the barrel, he represents that racist figure from American slavery.
So when we had Representative Byron Donalds calling the logo change libs ruining it and corporate pandering, what he was actually doing was defending imagery rooted in the brutalization of enslaved black people. The millions of social media interactions, the threatened boycotts, the nostalgic posts about family dinners, all of this outrage was in defense of symbols that celebrate white supremacist history. And the list of people rushing to defend these racist symbols was telling. Donald Trump Jr., Emily Compagno from Fox News, and others lined up to criticize the company for, and let's be clear about what they're actually criticizing, for removing imagery that celebrates the enslavement and torture of Black Americans. This wasn't about preserving tradition. It was about preserving racist tradition.
And this is where we need to talk honestly about what kind of nostalgia people were defending. When they talk about Cracker Barrel representing traditional American values and simpler times, they're romanticizing an era when Black Americans were enslaved, tortured, and dehumanized. The simplicity they're nostalgic for was built on the systematic brutalization of human beings. There's actually research on this phenomenon. It's called symbolic racism. When white Americans feel their social dominance is threatened, they often rally around symbols and imagery that reinforce white supremacist narratives, even if they don't consciously recognize that's what they're doing. The old Cracker Barrel logo wasn't just comforting. It was comforting specifically because it celebrated white dominance over Black people.
Right. And this is how racist imagery gets normalized and passed down through generations. Families go to Cracker Barrel for decades, surrounded by symbols that celebrate the enslavement of Black Americans, and it just becomes tradition. Kids grow up thinking this imagery is innocent nostalgia, when it's actually propaganda that whitewashes the horrors of American slavery.
From a corporate responsibility perspective, Cracker Barrel finally did what they should have done decades ago. Companies have a moral obligation to stop profiting from imagery that celebrates the torture and enslavement of Black Americans. The fact that it took them this long to remove these symbols is actually the real scandal here.
We've seen other companies make similar changes to remove racist imagery. Aunt Jemima became Pearl Milling Company, the Washington Redskins became the Commanders, and Land O'Lakes removed the Native American woman from their packaging. Each time, there's predictable backlash from people who want to preserve symbols rooted in the dehumanization of people of color. But these companies are choosing justice over profit, and that should be applauded. And let's talk about timing. This change comes at a moment when Americans are finally having honest conversations about the racism embedded in our institutions, symbols, and traditions. After decades of Black Americans pointing out these harmful images, companies are finally being forced to reckon with their role in perpetuating white supremacist narratives.
The lesson here isn't about brand strategy, it's about basic human decency. When your company imagery celebrates the torture and enslavement of Black Americans, there's no evolutionary approach. You remove it immediately, you apologize for having used it for so long, and you do better. Period. There's no middle ground when it comes to racist imagery. What's disappointing is how many companies have known about the racist origins of their imagery for decades and chosen to keep it anyway because it was profitable. Cracker Barrel, Aunt Jemima, the Washington NFL team, they all waited until public pressure forced their hand. The companies that deserve credit are the ones that proactively addressed racism in their branding before they were forced to.
The bottom line is this. The conservative outrage over Cracker Barrel's logo change was outrage over the removal of racist imagery. When politicians and commentators defend these symbols as tradition, they're defending white supremacist tradition. Cracker Barrel made the right choice. They just should have made it decades ago. This story is ultimately about racial justice, not corporate branding, and we need to call it what it is. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening to the Justice Pro Network's Daily Deep Dive in 5. We'll see you next time.